The universe had forgotten Earth. For thousands of years, the planet was silent, covered in dust and ruins. The old satellites that once circled it were long dead, their metal bodies drifting cold and lifeless through space. To most galactic species, Earth was nothing but a myth, a story about an extinct race that had once touched the stars. But not everyone believed that story. Captain Zor-ATH of the Viner Dominion stared at the holographic map before him. The faint signal they had intercepted 3 cycles ago pulsed again, weak, but steady. It came from the Sol system. From Earth. "Commander," his first officer hissed, her silver scales catching the dim blue light. "The Council forbids travel to the Forbidden World. The Ancient Ones left warnings across every archive. Do not awaken Earth." Zor-ATH smiled, his sharp teeth glinting. "Warnings are for the weak. If Earth holds what I think it does, the Viner Dominion will rule the galaxy." No one spoke. Even the hum of the ship seemed to fade. The crew felt something deep, something old, stirring in the silence of space. The ship, VDS Arcos, jumped through the void, breaking light-speed barriers as it approached the forgotten solar system. One by one, dead planets came into view, scorched, frozen, lifeless. But when Earth appeared, the crew gasped. The planet wasn't dead. The blue oceans shimmered faintly. Green lines pulsed across continents like veins under skin. It looked alive. "Impossible," whispered Ensign Rao. "Records say the biosphere collapsed centuries ago." Zor-ATH leaned forward. "Scan for energy readings." The computer replied in a calm, mechanical tone, "Massive geothermal and electromagnetic activity detected beneath the crust. Unknown source. Signal origin located, Sector 37, North America." "Prepare landing team," the captain ordered. Hours later, the Arcos hovered over what used to be a human city. Gigantic metal towers had fallen, covered in vines and crystal-like growths that pulsed faintly, like breathing. The sky was gray, heavy with storms that glowed green. The crew descended in armored suits. Their boots sank into soft ash. All around them were human remains, fossilized in strange positions, as if caught mid-motion. "Something is wrong," said Lieutenant. "Various radiation levels are normal. But energy readings are off the charts." Suddenly, a voice crackled in their comms. Not from the ship, not from any known source. It was deep and slow, like thunder forming words. "You should not have come." Everyone froze. Zor-ATH turned sharply. "Identify yourself." No response. Only static, and then the ground began to tremble. Beneath their feet, the ancient road split open, glowing with molten light. Strange symbols appeared, human letters twisted into alien shapes. "Retreat," Var shouted. But it was too late. A beam of light shot upward, forming a huge pillar that touched the clouds. The crew was thrown backward as the ground erupted. When the dust cleared, they saw it, a massive figure rising from beneath the earth. Not metal, not flesh, but something in between. It looked like a statue at first, a human-shaped colossus covered in stone and roots. But then its eyes opened, glowing with blue fire. "Captain," whispered Rao. "That's human technology." "No," said Zor-ATH quietly. "That's something older." The being spoke again, its voice echoing through their bones. "We were the first. We built the stars. You were warned, do not awaken Earth." Zor-ATH felt fear for the first time in his life. But greed burned stronger. "If you are the guardians of this planet," he said, raising his plasma rifle, "then we claim your power for the Dominion." The being's eyes flashed. The clouds above swirled, turning red and black. The city began to shift, buildings reshaping into towers of light. The air filled with energy, heavy and electric. The creature raised its hand, and the plasma rifle in Zor-ATH's hand melted like wax. "You came seeking power," it said. "You will find only awakening." Then, one by one, the bodies around the landing site began to twitch. The long-dead humans, their bones turned to crystal, started to move. They rose silently, eyes glowing the same blue as the giants. Var screamed, firing wildly. But the shots bent in midair, absorbed by invisible force. Zor-ATH tried to run, shouting for extraction, but his communicator only repeated static, and then one final phrase. Transmission lost. High above the planet, the Arcos drifted silently in orbit. The crew aboard watched as the entire continent below began to glow with spreading light. Captain Zor-ATH's signal is gone, said the helmsman. Then the ship's sensors went dark. On the surface, the Ancient being turned toward the sky. Its eyes flashed once more. They have awakened. The children return. And deep within Earth's core, something vast, something alive, opened its eyes for the first time in 10,000 years. The crew of the VDS Arcos didn't know what to do. The planet below had gone from quiet gray to burning blue in minutes. Every scanner, every sensor, every system was failing. The planet was talking. Not in words but through energy. Waves of power hit the ship like invisible storms. Lights flickered. The engines screamed. Lieutenant Mara gripped the edge of her console. The planet's magnetic field is unstable. It's pulling us down. Reverse thrusters, the helmsman shouted. But it was useless. The gravity field around Earth had changed. Something massive beneath the surface had awakened, and it was dragging them closer. Signal the Dominion. Captain Zor-ATH's second-in-command yelled, even though she knew it was hopeless. We must warn them. Static answered. Then, through the comms, a deep voice spoke again, the same one that had warned the landing team. You were told not to come. The sound came from inside the ship. Lights exploded, and consoles burst into flame. The ship's AI screamed a warning before cutting out. Mara looked out the viewing glass, and her breath caught. All around Earth, small points of light appeared. At first, they looked like stars. But they were moving. Fast. Contacts, she shouted. Multiple energy signatures approaching. The radar showed hundreds of them, ships, drones, constructs, unknown, ancient, and yet impossibly advanced. They rose from beneath Earth's surface, cutting through the atmosphere without sound. What are they? Someone whispered. Not ships, said Mara slowly. They're guardians. Far below, on the ruined surface, Captain Zor-ATH opened his eyes. The air burned with blue light. His armor was cracked. His crew was gone, or worse. Everywhere around him, human-shaped figures of light moved slowly, watching him. They didn't speak. They didn't attack. They just waited. He tried to reach for his communicator, but his arm didn't move. It was stuck in the ash, and the ash was alive. It pulsed under his hand like it was breathing. Then he heard footsteps. A single human figure was walking toward him. Not glowing. Not a ghost. A real human. She was wearing old, torn armor marked with a faded flag, a blue circle with white stars. Her face was pale, her eyes bright and cold. You came back, she said quietly. Zor-ATH blinked. You're human? Impossible. Humanity was extinct. She smiled sadly. That's what they wanted you to believe. She helped him up. Her hand was warm, alive. The ancient ones, the ones who gave your kind the stars, they were us. Zor-ATH's breath caught. Humans built the galactic gates. She nodded slowly. We built everything. We guided the first species. We taught them light, travel, and war. But the others turned on us. They feared us. So, the ancient ones buried Earth, and put it to sleep. He stared at her. And now it's awake. Yes, she said. Because you wouldn't listen. Up in orbit, chaos ruled. The Arcos was spinning out of control. Ancient constructs, machines shaped like wings and swords, surrounded the ship, scanning it. Power levels dropping, cried Mara. Hull breach on Deck 3. Suddenly, one of the constructs extended a beam of light. It touched the ship's surface gently, and the metal began to change. It wasn't melting or breaking. It was rewriting itself. "Captain," said the AI weakly, flickering on screen, "unknown nanostructure detected. We are being reprogrammed." Before anyone could react, the entire ship's computer was taken over. The lights turned blue. The main console blinked once, and a new voice spoke. "Human protocol, Guardian command recognized." The ship stopped falling. Systems stabilized. The ancient constructs moved aside. Mara stared at the glowing control panel. "Guardian command? What does that mean?" A hologram appeared in front of her, the same human woman Zorath had met below. "It means," she said, "your ship belongs to us now." Back on the surface, the captain followed the woman through the ruins. She spoke as if she had lived 1,000 lifetimes. "Earth's heart was sealed by the old code," she explained. "Only when the galaxy's balance breaks can it awaken again." Zorath frowned. "Balance? What do you mean?" "The Dominion. The empires. The endless wars. You all used the stars like toys. You took what we left and twisted it." She turned to face him, her eyes glowing faintly now. "You thought humanity died. But we went deeper, below the crust, below time. We became part of the planet. Watching. Waiting." He stepped back, realizing the truth. "You merged with Earth." She nodded. "We became its mind." Lightning cracked above them. The ground shook again. In the distance, massive figures of light, human giants, rose from the mountains and oceans, each holding orbs of burning energy. "They are waking," she said softly. "And when they fully rise, the galaxy will remember what it feared most." Zorath's voice trembled. "And what is that?" She looked at him, and for a moment, there was sadness in her eyes. "The return of mankind." Up in orbit, every galactic sensor across light-years suddenly detected it, a massive surge from Sol system. A pulse of energy so strong it distorted space. Across the galaxy, empires paused. Fleets turned. Alarms screamed. An old transmission, one not heard for thousands of years, began playing through every communication network. "This is Earth Command. We are awake." The galaxy trembled. Across hundreds of star systems, alarms screamed in alien languages. Energy readings from the Sol system were off every known scale. Ancient warnings that had slept in archives for thousands of years suddenly activated. Holograms of long-dead prophets repeated the same words again and again. "Do not awaken Earth." But it was too late. In the great city of Viner Prime, the High Council of the Dominion gathered in silence. The massive chamber glowed with red light as the message echoed through the halls, a human voice, calm and steady. "This is Earth Command. We are awake." None of them wanted to believe it. The humans were gone, erased from history, wiped out during the Great Purge 10 millennia ago. Every record said they had destroyed themselves. And yet, the signal was real. "It's impossible," said Chancellor Drex, his scaled face pale. "No species could survive this long in silence." Another counselor spoke, voice shaking. "We warned them. The Ancient Ones sealed Earth for a reason. You all ignored the prophecy." The room filled with arguments, fear, and confusion. Only one being stayed quiet, an old, scarred general named Torven. He had studied human legends all his life. Now he whispered to himself, "They're not coming back to talk, they're coming back to judge." Back in orbit around Earth, the VDS Arcos drifted among the awakened constructs. The ship no longer responded to Dominion command. Its systems glowed blue with human code. Lieutenant Mara stood alone on the bridge, staring out the viewport. Below her, the entire planet was transforming. Energy lines spread across the continents like veins of light. The oceans shimmered with strange patterns, forming symbols she didn't understand. She touched the console. "Computer, are you still active?" A voice answered, not the AI's old mechanical tone, but a calm human voice. Yes, Lieutenant Mara. You are inside the Genesis field. Humanity's awakening is almost complete. She swallowed. Who are you? I am Archive-01, the memory of Earth. Why did you take over our ship? Because your kind opened the seal. Now you must witness what comes next. On the surface, Captain Zorath followed the mysterious human woman, the one who called herself Elora. They walked through what was once a city, now a maze of living light. Your people feared us, Elora said softly. But we never wanted war. We gave them the stars, the machines, the knowledge of the gates. Yet every empire turned that gift into a weapon. Zorath's voice was rough. You're saying the Dominion's power came from you? Yes, she said. Your ships, your engines, your energy, all born from what humanity left behind. You built your empire on our ruins. He looked away. Then why return now? What do you want? Elora stopped and turned to him. Not revenge. Balance. Balance. The galaxy has forgotten fear. It has forgotten what it means to respect life. We will remind it. Suddenly, the ground split open, revealing a vast pit glowing with blue fire. At its center stood a colossal structure, an old human facility, perfectly preserved. Giant machines rose from it, humming like thunder. Zorath stared in awe. What is that? Elora looked down at the light rising from the pit. The heart of Earth. It connects every gate, every network, every star we touched. It's waking now. Then she looked up, eyes shining. When it's fully awake, every world in the galaxy will hear us. Far away, on a barren moon near the edge of the galaxy, the Council of Elders of the Threx Collective gathered. They had always believed themselves the oldest race, the first to travel the stars. But when the human signal arrived, their temples began to shake. One of the elders cried out, "The Origin has spoken." Another fell to his knees. The gods, the humans, they return. All across the galaxy, chaos spread. Some species began preparing for war. Others prayed. Others simply fled. The Dominion ordered fleets to gather near the Sol border, but none dared to enter. Every ship that crossed into the system vanished. Inside the Arcos, Lieutenant Mara watched in silence as the human constructs formed massive rings above the planet, orbiting structures glowing brighter than suns. Archive-01, she whispered. What happens when the awakening is complete? The voice paused, then replied, "The children will rise." She frowned. "Children?" "You," said the voice. "All species born from us. You carry fragments of our code, our knowledge, our design. But you lost your way. We will help you remember." Before she could ask more, a flash of light erupted outside. One of the rings activated. The ship vibrated violently as a new signal pulsed outward, not a message, but a wave. The signal spread faster than light, reaching every corner of the galaxy. It carried not just sound, but memory, images, thoughts, emotions. Every being who heard it saw the same vision. The image of a human figure standing under a burning sky, holding out a hand. A voice echoed across minds and worlds. "We gave you the stars. Now we take back the silence." On Viner Prime, General Torven stood on the balcony as the red sky turned white. He whispered, "It has begun." Across the galaxy, the ancient systems reactivated. Forgotten human satellites, hidden on countless worlds, powered on after millennia of sleep. And in the darkness between stars, something vast, a human fleet made of living metal, began to move. The light faded from the sky, but the fear it left behind did not. Every ship, every outpost, every empire across the galaxy had seen the same vision. The human figure, the burning sky, and the voice that said, "We gave you the stars. Now we take back the silence." The Dominion Council was in panic. Fleets were scrambled, weapons powered up, and the borders of Sol System were declared a war zone. No one dared to enter, yet everyone wanted to know the same thing. What was Earth becoming? Far above the planet, the VDS Arcos floated quietly among the glowing human constructs. The ship was no longer truly Dominion, it was part of something larger now. Lieutenant Mara stood by the viewport, watching Earth's new rings spin slowly in the void. Each ring pulsed with waves of blue light, forming symbols in the darkness, signals only ancient machines could read. Behind her, the voice of Archive 01 filled the air again. The old systems are waking, it said. The Genesis protocol has begun. What does that mean? Mara asked softly. It means, the voice replied, the humans are returning to physical form. Mara turned. You mean, they're alive again? They never died, said the voice. They changed. Their bodies became energy. Their minds became part of the planet. Now, they are rebuilding themselves. She looked down at the blue glow spreading across the continents. And what happens to the rest of us? The voice paused. That depends on whether you kneel or resist. On the Dominion border, thousands of warships gathered. Massive dreadnoughts floated in tight formation, weapons ready, shields raised. The fleet's commander, Admiral Koresh, stood on his bridge, staring at the tactical screen. Report, he barked. Energy wave expanding from Sol, said the sensor officer. No debris, no weapons detected. But, sir, it's rewriting our systems. Koresh frowned. Rewriting? Yes, Admiral. Our computers, they're changing language. Symbols we can't read are appearing. Before Koresh could respond, the main screen flashed white. The stars vanished. A single human face appeared, calm, emotionless. This is Earth Command, it said. The galaxy is under quarantine. Leave our skies. Koresh growled. This is Dominion territory. You have no authority. Authority? The voice echoed. We built your authority. We created the engines that power your fleets, the weapons you aim at us, the cores that hold your ships together. We are your beginning. The face disappeared. The ship's engines powered down instantly. Every vessel, from frigate to flagship, went silent. Koresh shouted. Restart systems. Override. But nothing worked. The fleet hung in space like toys, powerless before an invisible will. And then, a sound like thunder filled the void. From behind the sun, they came. Gigantic ships of silver and black, their surfaces glowing with rivers of light. They moved in perfect silence, faster than thought, forming a wall around the solar system. There were hundreds of them, each the size of a moon. Admiral Koresh watched in disbelief. By the stars, he whispered. They're human. They were. Or what humans had become. The fleet didn't attack. It only waited, as if deciding who was worth saving. Then, one by one, Dominion ships began to vanish. They didn't explode, they simply dissolved into streams of light, absorbed by the human vessels. In seconds, the entire Dominion armada was gone. Back on Earth, Captain Zorath stood at the edge of the glowing pit with Elera. The heart of Earth roared like a living sun, casting blue fire into the sky. He shielded his eyes. Your fleet is destroying everything. You're wiping out entire armadas. Elera didn't answer at first. Her expression was distant, sorrowful. We are cleansing what was corrupted, she said quietly. The Dominion spread chaos across a galaxy we once built in harmony. We warned you. You didn't listen. Zorath's voice cracked with anger. There must be another way. Elera turned to him, her eyes glowing brighter. There was. 10,000 years ago. He stepped closer. Why tell me all this? Why let me live? Because you are different, she said. You came seeking power, but now you see truth. The galaxy doesn't need new rulers. It needs memory. And you will carry our message. He looked up, confused. What message? She reached out and touched his forehead. In that instant, Zorath saw everything. Visions of human history, their rise and fall, their transformation into energy and light. He saw how they seeded the galaxy with life, how they built the stars and hid among them, waiting for the day they'd be needed again. When the vision ended, he fell to his knees, shaking. Ellora's voice echoed in his mind. Tell them the truth. Tell them the gods they feared were human. Far across the galaxy, the pulse of the Genesis field spread through space like a second dawn. Stars flickered. Machines woke. Forgotten relics began to hum again. And in the heart of Earth's core, the light condensed, forming shapes, bodies, life. The first new humans stepped onto the surface of their ancient home, their eyes glowing like fire. They looked to the sky. We remember, one of them whispered. Now, the galaxy will too. The galaxy was silent. Not the silence of peace, but of awe, fear, and uncertainty. Every star system seemed to hold its breath. The Dominion Armada was gone. Other fleets had vanished or been paralyzed by the pulse of the Genesis field. Even distant worlds felt the change. Energy streams long dormant now flowed like rivers, connecting planets across light years. On Earth, Captain Zorath walked among the reborn humans with Ellora at his side. He had been given knowledge no being in the galaxy had ever known. Secrets of creation, the rise and fall of civilizations, the true history of humanity. But the knowledge brought no comfort. They are everywhere, Zorath whispered. Every system, every fleet, they can reach anyone, anywhere. How do we stop them? Ellora shook her head. You don't stop them. You survive them. Humanity doesn't conquer by force. We awaken. We remind. In orbit, the human fleet had grown. What had started as a few colossal ships now numbered in the hundreds. Each one alive in some way, their hulls pulsing with energy, their movements perfectly synchronized. They didn't attack, but their presence alone shifted the balance of power in the galaxy. Lieutenant Mara stood on the bridge of one of these ships, looking at the stars. They're not like any army I've ever seen, she said. No guns, no shields, just presence. Archive 01's voice filled the ship. Your perspective is limited. Humanity has evolved beyond traditional warfare. We influence, we awaken, we restore balance. Those who resist may be removed from existence, but those who listen may rise. Mara swallowed. And the Dominion fleets? Everyone we know. They will remember. Some will fall. Some will change. Every choice echoes in the future. Across the galaxy, alien leaders panicked. The Threx Collective, the Zarn Empire, even small independent systems convened emergency summits. Messages flowed faster than light, all asking the same question. What is Earth doing? In secret, a council of the most powerful alien rulers gathered. They were afraid, and for the first time in millennia, old rivals spoke as allies. We underestimated them, said the elder Zarn. His scales flickered with stress. The humans, they are not extinct. They were never gone. A Threx diplomat shook his head. Their fleets are no ordinary ships. They are alive. They are connected to their planet. They can reach anyone, anywhere. We must strike now, before more awaken. The elder Zarn's eyes narrowed. Strike? Against what? Ghosts? Gods? They are beyond our weapons. This is not a war we can win. Meanwhile, on Earth, the newly reborn humans gathered in the glowing cities. They had bodies again, strong and radiant, yet their power far exceeded any life form known to the galaxy. Ellora raised her hands toward the sky. We must act. The galaxy has forgotten the lessons we taught. It must remember. And we will guide them. Zorath, still human in mind but forever changed by the visions, stepped forward. And what about those who resist? They will learn, Ellora said simply. Or they will be left behind. Humanity's awakening does not destroy. It restores. But restoration is not gentle. A ripple of energy traveled through the cities, spreading across the planet, reaching satellites and hidden stations. Everywhere, Dormant constructs activated. Ancient satellites, stargates, energy farms, even forgotten colonies far from Sol, all responded to the call. The pulse reached ships orbiting distant planets. Systems once thought dead came alive again. Engines hummed. Power grids blinked back to life. And everywhere, alien crews felt it, a presence watching, judging, awakening. In the Dominion's former capital, Admiral Koresh fell to his knees in terror as his advisors explained the unstoppable spread of the Genesis pulse. He had no weapons left. His fleets were gone. His armies powerless. The humans didn't fight, they reminded. "They're not attacking," Koresh whispered. "They're awakening us." "Yes," said his counselor. "And if we do not change, we will not survive. Not as conquerors. Not as civilizations." Across the galaxy, similar realizations took hold. The power of humanity was not in destruction but in truth, in awakening. Those who learned, who listened, could rise alongside them. Those who resisted, simply vanished. On Earth, the first council of reborn humans convened. Elora stood at the head, her voice calm and strong. "We have returned," she said. "Not for vengeance. Not for conquest. We return to remind every star, every life form, every empire, that the galaxy belongs to all, and that humanity was its first teacher. The galaxy will remember. And we will guide it." Zorath, standing among them, finally understood. This is not war. This is evolution. Elora nodded. Yes. The galaxy will change. And when it does, those who stood idle will learn the cost of ignoring the ancient ones. The light above Earth burned brighter. Human fleets rose from the surface like living constellations. The Genesis pulse reached every corner of the galaxy. And for the first time in 10,000 years, humanity was truly awake. The galaxy shivered under the weight of humanity's return. Systems that had slept for thousands of years now hummed with life. Stargates once dormant flared with energy. Ancient outposts, hidden satellites, and lost colonies reactivated simultaneously. Everywhere, the Genesis pulse spread, carrying knowledge, memory, and presence. Not all civilizations welcomed it. On the edge of the Viner Dominion, fleets gathered once more. This time, they were not paralyzed. But their crews trembled. Every weapon tested against the reborn humans failed. Shields buckled, lasers bent, engines faltered. It was as if the humans controlled space itself. Admiral Koresh looked out from his flagship, eyes wide with fear. "They are not ships," he whispered. "They are alive." Lieutenant Mara, now aboard one of the human constructs, observed from the bridge. "They don't fire. They don't attack. Yet we can control systems, fleets, entire planets. And they are teaching us to do the same." The reborn humans were everywhere, not just on Earth, but on hundreds of vessels, in space stations, and hidden stations long abandoned. Their presence alone forced civilizations to reconsider their understanding of life and power. But resistance did not die. The Zarn Empire, the Threx Collective, and remnants of the Dominion united. They called it the Alliance of Survival, pooling fleets and technology in a desperate bid to counter humanity. Across dozens of systems, massive warships gathered, engines blazing, weapons charged. Yet even as they prepared, humans approached, not in attack, but in calm precision. The first human vanguard arrived near the edge of Dominion space. Ships of living light moved silently, weaving through the enemy fleet, reshaping their trajectories, disabling weapons without harm to crews. On Koresh's flagship, alarms blared. Weapons offline. Engines unstable. Command systems being rewritten. Across the bridge, advisors fell to their knees. Koresh roared in frustration, but no one heard. The humans had taken control without firing a shot. On the battlefield, Captain Zorath walked among the human vanguard. He had been transformed, no longer merely a former enemy, but a witness to a power beyond comprehension. Elora approached him. "Some will resist," she said. Those who refuse to awaken will fall. But it is not vengeance. It is restoration. Zor-ATH nodded slowly. And the fleets that remain? Can we save them? Elara's eyes glowed. Only if they listen. Only if they accept the truth we bring. Otherwise, they will fade, like all who ignored the ancient ones. The humans moved in perfect synchronization. Ships glided across space like living beings. Energy streams flowed from vessel to vessel, connecting fleets and planets in a lattice of knowledge. Any alien who resisted was met with subtle, unstoppable force, their systems disabled, their weapons repurposed, their energy redirected. None died, at least not immediately. But those who resisted completely would vanish. In a distant system, the Zarn Emperor watched as entire fleets dissolved into streams of light. His voice trembled. They are gods. A Threx diplomat responded, shaking. Not gods. Humans. They are everything we forgot we feared. The Empire scrambled research teams to create weapons, but every attempt failed. The humans' control over matter, energy, and machines surpassed anything imaginable. Ships built centuries ago were now controlled as if alive. Even distant satellites responded to the Genesis pulse. On Earth, Elara observed the unfolding events through a massive orb of blue energy. She spoke quietly, more to herself than anyone else. They do not understand. It is not destruction. It is teaching. They will learn. Zor-ATH, still beside her, asked, how long before the galaxy accepts them? Time is irrelevant, she said. Humanity exists outside their concept of war. We are patience and inevitability combined. When the galaxy awakens fully, resistance will be impossible, not because we overpower them, but because there will be nowhere else to hide from truth. Back on the front lines, Mara watched the last of the Dominion fleet falter. The massive warships floated silently, engines offline, weapons dead. Humans moved past them without firing. They simply reconnected the ships to the Genesis pulse. Slowly, the Dominion crews began to understand. Their fear gave way to awareness. They feel it, Mara whispered. They feel the knowledge. The connection. Yes, said Archive-01. And some will rise. Some will choose to awaken with us. Others will be left behind. Across dozens of systems, fleets that had once fought humanity began to lower weapons. Systems once locked in war began to respond to the pulse. Slowly, planets, cities, and stations came alive, not with conquest, but with understanding. And at the heart of it all, the humans stood tall, not as conquerors, but as teachers. On Earth, Elara turned to Zor-ATH. This is only the beginning. They will remember. The galaxy will be reborn. Zor-ATH nodded. And those who resist. They will learn, she said. Or they will fade. That is the cost of ignoring the ancient ones. Above the planet, the human fleet spread like a web of light, connecting everything across the galaxy. The Genesis pulse pulsed rhythmically, like a heartbeat, reaching worlds far and wide. Humanity had returned. And the galaxy would never be the same. The galaxy held its breath. For 10,000 years, it had believed humanity extinct. For 10,000 years, empires had fought, conquered, and corrupted the stars. And now, humanity had returned, alive, united, and unstoppable. Above Earth, the reborn human fleet stretched across the void like living constellations. Ships of energy and light moved with purpose, connecting planets, fleets, and satellites in a lattice that pulsed with the Genesis pulse. It was no longer war. It was restoration. Captain Zor-ATH, once a Dominion officer, now stood among them, no longer an enemy, but a witness and participant in something greater than himself. He had seen the knowledge of humanity, the memory of the ancient ones, and the true history of the galaxy. It changed him. Elara appeared beside him, her eyes calm, glowing faintly in the blue light. The galaxy is ready, she said softly. Now, every civilization will remember its place, and its responsibility. Zorath frowned. And those who resist, they will fade, she said. Not through violence, but by being left behind. Life cannot thrive where understanding is rejected. The pulse is not a weapon. It is a mirror. Across the stars, the remnants of the alien empires trembled. Fleets that had once challenged humanity were now hushed by the mere presence of the reborn humans. The Genesis pulse flowed through every system, teaching, connecting, awakening. Ships that had once been instruments of war now hummed with intelligence, responding to commands from the pulse itself. In the Dominion's capital, Emperor Koresh watched his entire armada dissolve into streams of blue light. At first, he panicked. Then, slowly, understanding dawned. The pulse was not destroying them, it was giving them a chance to awaken, to remember, to become part of something greater. Some resisted. They were left behind, their ships frozen in time or scattered across space. But those who accepted the pulse, who opened their minds, felt it, the memory of humanity, the knowledge of the ancients, and a connection to the stars themselves. On Earth, the reborn humans walked among cities alive with energy. Structures formed from light and matter shifted and grew, responding to thought. The oceans pulsed with intelligence. The forests hummed. The mountains themselves seemed aware. Captain Zorath followed Elora through the streets, watching humans, once thought extinct, walk with power that rivaled entire fleets. Children played beside rivers of glowing energy, their laughter echoing across the land. Not all humans had returned physically. Many existed as energy, their consciousness connected to the pulse. Elora stopped and looked at him. The galaxy will never forget us again. We have returned to guide, to teach, and to restore. Those who embrace this will thrive. Those who resist will be left behind. Zorath swallowed. It is beautiful and terrifying. Yes, she said. Power without understanding destroys. But power with purpose rebuilds. The reborn humans now reached out to the stars. Fleets moved beyond the Sol system, connecting distant colonies and hidden stations. The Genesis pulse spread into the far reaches of the galaxy, touching civilizations that had never known humanity. Ships paused in orbit, entire worlds awakened, and dormant machines activated, all following the rhythm of the pulse. And everywhere, the voice of humanity echoed, not in words, but in understanding. We gave you the stars. We guided you. We warned you. Now you must awaken. Alien empires that had resisted for centuries finally saw the truth. Their weapons, their fleets, their empires, all were reflections of humanity's legacy. Those who chose to accept the pulse became allies, learners, and part of the web connecting the galaxy. Those who refused faded quietly, leaving empty systems behind. Across the galaxy, humans taught the knowledge of the ancients, energy manipulation, faster-than-light travel, advanced medicine, harmony with ecosystems, and the memory of civilizations long forgotten. Every world touched by the pulse felt it. A new dawn was rising. On Earth, Zorath looked up at the sky. Ships moved like living stars, forming patterns he had never imagined. The clouds shimmered with energy. Rivers glowed. Mountains pulsed with life. Elora stood beside him. This is only the beginning, she said. The galaxy will remember humanity, and it will learn to honor the gift we once gave it. Balance is restored, but vigilance will always be needed. Zorath nodded. And what of the Ancient One's warning? Elora smiled faintly. We are the Ancient Ones now. Earth has awakened. The galaxy will remember, whether it wants to or not. In the void between stars, the Genesis pulse spread to the edge of known space. Planets, moons, and starships resonated with it. Life adapted. Machines learned. Civilizations awakened. And on Earth, the first council of reborn humans looked to the sky. Their hands glowed with light. Their eyes shone with purpose. We are awake, Elora said. And the galaxy will never forget us again. The stars seemed to pulse in response. The human fleet rose higher, stretching across light years. The ancient planet beneath them glowed, alive and aware. The galaxy, once silent, now remembered the power, wisdom, and legacy of humanity. The age of awakening had begun. And nothing would ever be the same again.